I will be deemed mad as if I sent 440 million shillings to a certain woman I met on Facebook. Even if this person convinced me that I can be able to buy for you this, with my accountant nature, no. Because probably you guys can.
No, I can't. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. My name is Nachilewa Belinda, and I'm here with CP Ebenard and CP Ejo. The first episode that we had, we discussed the challenges people in the diaspora face when they try to invest in Uganda. And we came up with a few advantages and disadvantages of having trustees to work as middlemen between them and their investments. We came up with a couple of solutions, and today we are going to discuss a few cases that have happened and judgment has been passed by the courts of law in Uganda. Bernard, do you have anything to add on to that?
Yeah, so we have had quite a number of cases where they have been fast because of challenges to do with investments in Uganda. So some of the cases we are going to discuss today, we will try to open eyes of some of the people in the diaspora and at least be able to make better decisions in future. And when they are deciding the people they would like to invest in. So basically we have 3 cases for which we will discuss. Lydia Chitu was a Semakula Ismail. This one, the decision was made on 16th August 2024. Then we have another one for that is the Ritu Sapita and Babazi, Maribe University. This one, the decision was made on the 11th of October 2034. And then we also have an interesting one for a relative, that is Namuteri, an assistant, whom she sent 400 million to construct for her and for the Luseda. So most probably this will open the eyes of our viewers and try to resist some of the decisions some of the suggestions we give there, and some of the solutions we have for them. And they can always reach out to us, and we have this discussion on what to display for while they're trying to do the investments in Uganda.
Yes, thank you, Belinda, for hosting us again, and thank you, CP Bennett. It's really interesting in the previous episode where we discussed quite many things and why it is very important to engage in the legally formal trustees or advisors to help the people in the diaspora. And today it is just a continuation as we are violating, and we are just continuing to see what could be some of the examples that we could look through and how these cases have been decided in court, and indeed how those ones in the diaspora have lost money and property in one or the other. And the ones we are going to look at, there are the few that we have identified or that we have picked out, but there are many, even those ones that have not gotten even up to court. There are many that have been really discussed all over, where people have lost money and property. So yes, we dive into this. Thank you, Belinda.
I think we're going to first handle the case of Peter Ziruntos versus Mbabazi. This happened. Peter met Mbabazi through Facebook, and that's how they started talking. It has facts that Mbabazi claims to have Ziruntusa claimed to have sent around 432 million to Mbabazi to purchase land, livestock, develop medical facility and other business ventures in Uganda. However, Mbabazi claims that it was based on friendship that Ziruntusa sent that money. Zion, anything to add on?
Yeah, so this specific interesting case this so-called Peter Geritusa meets someone on Facebook. They begin talking, create a relationship, whether it is personal or not personal, but money exchange hands. And the total sum of money exchange approximately estimated to 440 million. Now, whatever happened or conspired between the two, they find themselves in a legal battle. Yeah? Where Geritusa has lost his money. Most probably because they are no longer in a good terms or good relationship with them. Mbabazi. So what are the facts? Maybe I could lay down some of these facts and then Joel and yourself can come in and tell us what you think. So when Geritusa sues, he sues to recover 440 million shillings that have been lost, that have been sent from UK to Uganda for purposes of building, commercial building, project or livestock hospital and project and things like that. Now, the defendant argues in the courts that the money that was sent was out of a personal relationship between the two of them. Meaning that trying to give you that when they met online, they met on a personal relationship, maybe a romantic relationship. And this money kept on coming in as part of her upkeep. Yeah? And there was no agreement on whether, the Geritusa, had given Mbabazi the authority to go ahead and do investment on his behalf while he was in the UK. On the other side, Geritusa tried to tell court that he sent this money based on trust and on agreement over commercial agreement. So they went to court. Court looked at different components. That was there any agreement between these two people that can be proved that there was a commercial relationship? 2, had they established trust? 3, was there legal documentation? So bottom line, Geritusa had lost the case. However, something very interesting about this case is that Geritusa was able to prove that he actually sent the money, for which the court consented and said, yes, there was proof of money, but there was no proof of commercial agreement between the three. So as we are discussing this, we could look at these components. And some of these components, how best could have Geritusa guarded himself against losing money, so that assuming that they reached here while he had already guarded himself, most probably they will have a different ruling. On the other side, court had to take the side of lawyers, in as much as the court ruled that, yes, money was received, but there was no basis under which this money was was received. So those are the facts on that case.
Thank you, Sophia. Maybe to chip in, it's very interesting in that last time when we were discussing, we talked about the family trust or friendship trust. And now, in this case, it so happens that initially, even before the money exchanged or before Peter transferred the money, they first became friends with Mbabazi Reste. Now, interestingly, when Mbabazi realized that maybe the money Peter had sent is no longer there, I think started now losing the contacts. And that friendship, I think, was lost because she knew she couldn't provide an accountability for that. And for Peter, he felt that the best way to resolve was to go to court. And that's something that we discussed last time, is that sometimes when things worsen, you may need legal services, you may need to go to court. But the question comes in, which documentations are you going to provide as proof that indeed something took place? Yeah. Now, in this case, as CPA Bernard highlighted, yes, money was exchanged and there was proof that indeed Peter sent in money. Unfortunately, there was no other documentation to show that indeed that money was for investment. And that's how he lost the case. So now, imagine all your money that you have thought of investing, over 400 million, and it is lost like that, even up to the level of going to court. You have incurred in all these costs up to court level. Imagine what you'd have saved if you had involved in the trustee or a risk advisor. It is so interesting. But also it gives us a point to learn on how do you trust someone just you have seen on social media without any formal arrangement that indeed it is for investment. Maybe that's something also we need to think about. Thank you.
We are in an era of social media.
Yes.
Generally, people build the trust very quickly while on social media without actually knowing the other person on the other side. So it's just normal that even now, it would be easy for people who have not met physically to still build trust while on social media.
Yes, yes.
However, from the court ruling, let me read something what the court said. The judgment shows that courts generally require evidence such as written investment candidates, trust declarations, power of attorney, shareholding documents, land titles in the investor's name, detailed record showing the purpose of the remittance. Without such evidence, courts may conclude that the money was a gift, support, or part of personal relationship rather than investment.
True.
Yes.
So, how do you prove that actually money I sent to Belinda was actually business or investments when you do not have anything to prove other than showing that
I sent her money.
I sent her money?
Yes.
And that is where I am saying that the trustee coming in here or the risk advisors or people who standing between the cases of the Peters, Viritusas, and Rest in Babaji is this investor to avoid and tell you to be sure that you have this documentation for any money to be sent.
That's true.
Otherwise, if Peter had taken due diligence and taken all the necessary steps, then he could most probably not have sent this money out of trust. Now, last time we discussed about these people sending money on base of trust. But again, something interesting here, court again discussed that there was still no trust that was established between these two people. So, this is a typical fraud case. Because even court itself said, we could not establish whether there was trust between the two people. Now, just imagine there was no legal documentation. There was no protection. There was no trust. But a certain Peter felt it necessary to send up to 440 million shillings to someone he did not know to do investments for him. And then this same certain Peter decided to take this same person that did not have trust. He will have legal documentation for or commercial agreement to court, expecting to win to recover the money. How do you call that?
It's really interesting. To me, I believe, just as court established, there was no evidence that you could really base on to really judge that indeed there was that trust and therefore there was commercial, like the exchange of the money was for commercial purposes. Now, if Namtevi was not Namtevi, but if Reste was a girlfriend, if we could be more specific, how do you differentiate how the money you send for upkeep versus the money for investment? It could be also possible that Peter, out of frustration, maybe because the relationship didn't go ahead, that claimed to have sent this money for investment. But because he was frustrated, maybe the friendship didn't work out or the relationship, decided to sue. And at the end, he lost because there was no other agreement to show or contractual agreement.
So most probably you can say that this is a relationship gone by.
Yes.
A love relationship gone by.
Yes.
So the question is, to me, do I need to work abroad for 10 years to send my hard-earned money in Uganda to lose it over a relationship gone by? 442 we did choose.
Not at all.
Not at all. So that's why this is one of those cases which has recently been decided that our diaspora, ladies and gentlemen, need these risk managers, these trustees who are taken liable. Definitely, in one of my arguments is that, and one of the services I'm putting out there is that we will have two sides. That even the trustee will need legal protection against these people. Because most probably, you will need that you taking care of funds on behalf of Joy or Belinda.
Yes.
But to wake up in the morning and bring up a certain case like that. Then on the other side, the Peters also need legal protection to ensure that the trustee, CPA Wile, is doing the right job he had been given to do so that these investments are not lost. So that when you are sending money, if I woke up more in the morning and decided to send money to Mbabazi, I will be able to differentiate which money am I sending out of personal relationship and which money am I sending out of business deal. So in such kind of an arrangement, definitely I will be able to support.
It actually protects both of them.
Protects both of them. So that when you go to sue, you'll be able to look and say, where do I fall? If you're suing on a commercial basis, then you will have this documentation. If you are suing on a personal relationship, then that is something else that can be discussed, which is not actually an investment.
Yeah, that's actually what the court found. It found it to be a more personal relationship than a business relationship, because there was no proof to show that they sent money for business or anything.
Maybe if I can chip in briefly on that. Yes, we discussed last time and we said, maybe sometime, could we assume Peter did this because he didn't have someone to trust? And that is something that the diaspora people can think about. Maybe previously they didn't have information or any clue about which possible trustees can be considered. And indeed, this episode, this discussion gives them some sensitization on, yes, that you can still have your relationship with someone you have met and all that. But when it comes to investment, you need someone else who is formal and will be able to follow up the legal documentations that are needed. And that's where BNB Associates comes in. That, yes, if you are there in the diaspora and you didn't know whom can I trust, then you need some of these services from these advisors.
People on social media, and more especially people abroad, will want to meet the kind of flashy lifestyle.
Yes,
that
yes.
Most probably people back home will admire.
Yes.
Most probably Vida had a lot of people to trust. And most probably he just wanted to win over a woman.
And that's very possible.
And say, true man.
Yes.
Yeah. And because he wanted to win over a woman, he wanted to show the woman my financial muscle. Most probably, this woman realized the financial muscle is gone.
Yes, this is what I said.
I longer need you.
Got what I wanted.
I have gotten what I wanted because there's no documentation. So 99% right now we are on TikTok Live, we are on X.
Yes,
look at the profile of these people on diaspora. Most of them will most probably, both men and women, I want to get back home and get married. And I want to use my lifestyle out there to win over.
As a bait to attract you.
Personal relationship. Under which when you lose, then you come back and try to say, I lost investment. So that's why it is important now that most probably this is one of those decided cases that says you need to split the difference between a personal relationship
and a business relationship.
And a business relationship.
That's very true.
A business relationship will need to have proper documentation.
True.
Even nowadays here in Uganda, there are men out there or women out there who put their women and wives whom they have married to write accountabilities for them.
Kameza money.
Yeah. When you find an accountant like Joel, he comes out with Kameza money, he goes back home and says, now look here, how much can you spend on a Pamex?
Yes.
For Kameza money.
I will begin the mad as there if I send 440 million shillings to a certain woman I met on Facebook. Even if this person convinced me that I can be able to buy for you this, with my accountant nature, no. Because probably you guys can.
No, I can't.
Yes, Ben, if I can chip in, is that, yes, you talked about, you gave an example of the Kamenza money. Of course, that's where now we need to differentiate. Is this money for investment or for personal use? And if there is that clear lane, if someone has a lot of money and has sent 400 default as a personal use, then there is no problem. But what is important is a clear distinction. The money for investment should be trusted by legal or formal entities or individuals.
Who makes 440 million shillings to send over a woman I met on Facebook?
You never know,
I think he sent this money in different days or different times. By the time he went to court, it had amounted for
the ones he could clearly account for that indeed it had accumulated to that. You never know the ones he had not fully.
So let's assume this money was sent over a year.
Yes.
So monthly, that's approximately 40 million shillings.
Yes.
Who makes 40 million shillings in Uganda?
We don't know. People don't.
Nowadays, different businesses, someone could be into cryptocurrency. You can't rule it out, but of course, practically it is not possible. Unless if this person is involved in a fraud, which is also not really possible, to have this money just for personal use. But as we said, I think it was just a frustration that maybe this relationship is no more, and he decided that maybe he can cover some of the money. It could have been meant indeed for these investments, but who can tell? Even it is only Resta and Peter himself who can tell the truth when you meet them one-on-one, maybe to open up.
So something very interesting about this case. Peter was an immigration official in the United Kingdom.
Yes, yes.
Do you know how much educated this gentleman was?
Hey.
Definitely it should be, the minimum would be a degree qualification.
In the last discussions that we had, I told you that actually the most defrauded people are actually the most educated.
They are the big victims.
Peter Jirutosa was a Ugandan immigration lawyer. He was actually a lawyer.
Even a lawyer.
And most probably the profession for Mbadzi, Maribe University, is not even known.
That's true.
Now, you can just imagine someone of this caliber having been defrauded by someone whose profession is not even known. Now, this is a lawyer that most probably could advise me. So do you know now you can see why it is actually very key and important to ensure that it does not matter the level of your education, your profession. A loss is loss. And it will find you at the point where you are at your lowest decision making. So I still think that Peter was more driven by winning over this person over social media at his lowest point, at his lowest weakness, because there's a saying that say that the weakness of any man is a woman. Okay. For me, I decline that one. Very quickly.
Never had them.
Yes. It is very common. It is very common. It is very common.
And it is the day you will become a witness for another man.
Actually, it's even in the Bible when you talk about King Solomon, it is obvious it was Delilah who put him down. So it is not even just Uganda, but it is even a miracle.
Because we are too many to go down. But now, I just think that Peter, at his level of education, at his level of knowledge, it actually requires more of this service, more than any other person because they are the most vulnerable.
Yes, yes.
So this case still informs our concern that we still need to put up and come up with discussions with the people abroad, see how best they can be kept so that when they come back, their investments are secured, their families are secured, and even these people they try to win over, they can always win them over. Yeah. So it's absurd, but it's the hard truth reality. And this is just 11th of October 2024.
Recently.
Yes, it's buried.
That's true.
And more are happening that are not taken to court.
Yeah.
Just maybe to sum up something on that. You see, even in Uganda, as you said, the most educated at times they are the big victims. You find that educated people tend to trust individuals without any mutual agreement. You would find that a border group can have a formal group of theirs and they are very accountable to whatever penny they are saving with that association of theirs, which at times is difficult. Or it's not difficult, but at times it is not considered as being very important for the educated or the corporate groups. And this largely impacts on how they lose money. Yes. That someone is trusting an individual without any formal documentation. You find someone who is dressed very smart and claims, yes, I can support you, I can assist you in one way or the other. And moves these corporate entities and convinces them how is good. Yet, if there was a formal or a legal structure which is there, it would save them a lot of money. But because they feel they are corporates and all that, they feel they can trust people, they can read, they can interpret some of the laws and all that, they end up becoming victims in one or the other. And it's the same with the diaspora. At times, yes, the most educated are frauded in that way because of trusting people rather than institutions that are formal and legally established.
Just prior to the elections, our parliament passed the sovereignty bill.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And I am thinking that as we move ahead, this sovereignty bill is also going to be problematic to some of these people abroad who are trying to invest. Just take an example that I am aligned maybe to a political party, that is most probably is not pro-government. And we keep on sending your investment, you go a bit of your investment, things like that. In the event that things go back along the way, someone will wake up in the morning and attach you to interfere with government programs or independence of government. And if you do not have this documentation, property name, what's the source of this money, what was its intention, what was I doing, you might also end up losing. Because now this is, it's a controversial bid, yes, but as much as they made amendment into it, to exempt certain people and only leave it to maybe political interference, but still, if you are aligned to an opposition group or pressure group, and you're still working, but you still want to invest home, and things go bad, you could still lose that money if someone woke up in the morning and said, this person is sending money in Uganda to destabilize government program. So, regardless of whichever direction we look at this, it's still important that still, in one way or another, they will still need the services of these trustees. They will still need the documentation. They will need some of these contracts just to rule out some of these bad seeds that are likely to make you to bad your money. Yeah. I don't know if you've gone through this sovereignty bill, but it's something most probably, when you sit down to talk again, we should actually talk about this sovereignty bill and how most likely it will affect
the people.
Most people in the diaspora and their investments.
Their money. But they will actually, protect their money against being linked to some of these political attachments and affiliations for your annual on list. Yeah.
That's very true.
Can we discuss another case?
That's okay.
This case is about Mariam and the sister. In this case, it shows that Mariam was sending money to her sister for investment still here in Uganda. It also says that she promised to take care of the sister's kids while the sister helps on these investments. However, which didn't happen. And when Mariam asked for what she was investing in, there is nothing to show. And this also comes in as another case related to the one that we discussed earlier.
So, another interesting thing about this case of Namteli and the sister of the 400 million. This one now was based on trust. Unlike the other one, there was no established component of trust. Now this one, there was trust. So Namuteri sent this money on basis of trust. But still when she went to court, she still lost. And one of the reasons she lost, she sent through trust. Still, the bottom line of the basis of her losing, the case of the 400 million, is still that as much as she sent it to the sister, she still did not have proper documentation of showing that out of the 400 million I have sent you, how much of it was she sending to take care of her children? And how much was it that was going to do her development plans? And how much was it was to support the bills of the sister while executing? But she had the proof of semi-coup.
Transferring the money.
So one of the differences, so you see the other one was a person I met on Facebook. This one is a blood relation for whom court has established there was actually trust and established there was money sent. And then the bottom line, you are entitled to win back this money count. So that's another thing that most probably you can pick in. You get it.
Yes.
The two differences, but still on the same cases. Courts ruling differently, but arriving at the same conclusion.
Yes. In this case, it's really another shocking one. And I think many in the diaspora have fallen victim of this, whereby the trust is mainly through their relatives. And in this case, you see that yes, there was a sister, but also there are other relatives that have been also that were sued. But it still runs, even if you have 2-3 relatives, even if they are 10, they can either connive and still waste your money, or you lose the money, or whichever you send is lost. Whoever gets says, this one is what I can keep in my pocket. So this is I believe most of the people in the diaspora lose money through this kind of trust. And as we mentioned last time, that is the trust alone, for the trust with relatives, friends, and all those informal groups is never enough. And at one point, you're going to lose money, or you're going to lose your investments. And it clearly indicates here, she was sending money to the relatives, thinking everything is okay, even construction of the house. This one would even send the photos, as we had highlighted. It was even sending photos show that indeed things are in order.
Monitoring and evaluation.
Yes.
That's where the trustee comes in.
Exactly.
That's why Belinda comes in and says, look here, these pictures you're receiving.
I know.
Exactly.
So you just imagine someone saying me all these pictures. Showed him very good plans, only poor wife, and none of them live like this today.
Yes.
And that's what happened, because she came, there was nothing. But when she went back, she still continued sending money. They convinced her that the project is in process, materials have not yet arrived. Then when she went back to Switzerland, she still continued sending money. And the same issue went on until she came back and took them to court. And the judge said that there was no real proof to show that the money they were sending was for the investments, but the sister claimed that the money she was receiving was for her and her relatives. It's money sent from their sister. It's going to be for help since they are family members. I think that's where everything comes in. And that's how she lost all her money that she has been working hard for.
Can we say that some of these people abroad act like mad people who are in love? Because how do I come in Uganda and I find that the first portion of my 200 million I sent, if the pictures actually did exist, then I go back, then I get convinced again. Yeah? Then I keep on saying. They say that, I don't know how they're men or women, that they say they most probably think so much with their heart and their head. But now, unfortunately, nowadays they are overthinking in their heads and then you're not making it.
CPMN, I want to interject there. It is very possible. You see, with the con men or con people, they are very smart. Someone can give just per reason and indeed this person will be convinced. And you see what is funny is that if you have been given a short period of time to come maybe to the country and you have to maybe check on relatives and then also check on your so-called investment, it is very possible that at some point you might be convinced that, okay, maybe there was this delay because of A, B, and C. Of course, now you are CPM Bernard, I know you can't be challenged. You can't lose money like that because now you know the importance of having a trustee in this case, in these kind of investments. However, just look at someone who went in for some time and is not aware of these formal trustees or advisors. It is very possible can be convinced.
Do people in Chile lose reality life or the reality on ground? Do they detach themselves from reality on ground?
Normally it is life that teaches and they learn from all those. After someone realizing that, okay, I was trusting a wrong person, but already the money would have gone.
Loss.
Yes, the money would have gone already in one or the other. But all in all, it still takes us back to the relatives. Now, imagine Namtevi lost this money through the relatives. Is this relationship of relatives, so that bond of family still existing after losing? The answer definitely is no. So, as we say that, you can only strengthen your family or friendship relationship when you detach your investment money from your relatives and friends. If she had done that, then I'm sure these friends and relatives would be very friendly up to now. But now, I'm sure even coming back to meet any of these one-on-one, it may not be possible. So, if you are to strengthen your family relationship or friendship relationship, the best thing would be for you to detach away by involving them in your money for investment. Yes.
And the ruling here says that this was to serve as a warning to Ugandans that are abroad that whenever they are involving relatives into their investments, there should be agreements for them to follow. Because it would be better in case things don't turn out the way they're supposed to be. Yeah.
And of course, just to sum up on that, still takes back to having the documentations.
Yeah.
That will help you maybe in case of any lawsuit, you are able to present with evidence. Not just transferring money. It's not enough. A description on what purpose this money is meant for is not enough. I should be able, how do you send, as CPA Bernard had said, why would you become that man that you came to Uganda, you found there is nothing, and then you keep sending more 300 million? Really? Yes.
Most probably, in our African setting, people believe that most probably they came back to Uganda and got bewitched and then went back. And I'm not probably a very big fan of that or a very big believer of that. But it is just something that I think people in the diaspora need to wake up in the morning and now start attaching. Yeah. Trying to reduce the gap between where they are and the reality on ground. To ensure that when you don't put certain provisions in your investment, however good you are, you will definitely lose. You will definitely lose. And that's the essence of this discussion. And like I've said, or like I've submitted, if that is not handled very well by whoever is trying to make their hard money out there, whether myself, whether yourself, or you wake up in the morning and get a very good job out there and start sending money back this side, and then not put this, you connect the dots and put these protections, you will definitely lose them.
Yes.
So that's the bottom line regardless.
And then
I want to think of, maybe before you chip in, Belinda, I want to think of, couldn't there be cases where, imagine if this, for example, this particular case, if Namtevi came back and these relatives say no, they can't refund this money, and there is no any other attachment at all, don't you think he should have even lost her life? Who would fall up anyway? You claim in the families, our relative has passed on after coming back, but there will be nothing to know, to trace what caused the death and all that. So this one is a lucky one that, yes, you can even go to court and then, yes, you have lost the case. But some people even lose lives. Because if someone knows, now where will they get the 400 million, and is not sure whether the court will rule either in their favor, they can finish you up and say, now, you better lose him or her than going to court and then they imprison us to refund the money which we can't refund. So that's why detaching the money away from the friends and relatives would be the most important thing. And this can only be done by entrusting the legal professionals or the trustees and advisors who are formally and legally established. Thank you.
And also on the side of Namutebi, I think Namutebi and the sister, they grew up together, so they trusted each other. That could also come in a way as that's why she was sending the money. She knows her, they've grown up together, and she wants everything to be well for the family. And that's why she was sending the money. And she had also promised to take care of the sister's kids.
The children, yes.
But I think the sister went the other way around, and yeah.
Just as I did mention last time, that you can't have your either friend or relative say 10 million, but you have a problem. Like your sister sent you say 50 million, yes, and now there is a very pressing challenge of about 20 million. And you say, now, you look at this 50 million and say, I'm not going to touch it. But see, you have a pressing need of 20 million. Practically, it is not possible. And that's where the problem comes in from. Even if there was a good intention of the sister to invest, but because of the pressing needs, she couldn't forego those pressing needs just to invest for Namtebi. And that's why you need to, if these investments were done through another third party or a trustee, she would not be having these problems and would have not lost this money.
Because I think Namutebi thought, if I take care of my sister's kids, she will do this for me, which wasn't the case.
Yeah.
Nothing was done. We have another case, which will be our final case. This one is somehow different. It's between Lydia Chintu and Semakula Ismail. Lydia used to stay within the country, and then she left the country, and she left a caretaker to be taking care of the property. However, the caretaker resorted to other things. I think he wanted to sell the property, claiming that he owned the property, but which didn't work out.
Yeah, so actually in that case, one of the most interesting thing about the case of Lydia Chitu and Semakula, slightly different.
Yes.
By the time Lydia left Uganda, she was the legal owner of the 20 acres of land. So she had full documentation. So she left Semakula as the caretaker, but didn't actually send money.
Yes.
However, when she was there, Semakula and team, they split the 20 acres into different plots of land and forged her signature and did transfer forms, and they sold them out. Very interesting I realized about this case is that Lydia won the case. And she was given compensation back plus interest and plus penalty. Yeah. However, the only difference is that Lydia maintained the original legal land titles from which Semakula could not access it. Inasmuch they tried to get copies from the Land Commission or tried to foil them, she kept her documentation intact. And this is the only reason that actually she was able to win against. But in the event, just imagine that in the event that she had left all this documentation and everything in the custody of the Semakula, yeah, most probably she would not then have won. So this is one of those rare cases that where someone from abroad has won. But now for this one, by the time this person was leaving, video of leaving, all the documentations had been properly prepared. Yeah, he has mismanaged the documentation. And for that reason, when she came back, at least she had a basis from which we'll be able to start and to sue. And most probably, in my opinion, from the cases here, yeah, that could be the reason she came out victorious on this case. So it informs even the other people in diaspora that documentation is the key.
Yes, thank you, Sophia Ben. Maybe just to also chip in briefly, this is it gives us another dimension of discussion. Yes, it involves seeing a relative per se, but you could ask yourself, how did the documents change from Lydia to Semakula? The caretaker initially was David Chinto, a brother, if I remember, it's like a brother. But now, you would ask yourself, how did it now change from ownership of Lydia and goes to Semakula, owning this land? And in the story, the brother is a bit silent on how he connived. I don't know that it was a conniving, how he connived with Semakula and they transferred. Yes, they forged all the documents, but you would ask yourself, how could they have been friends, David and Semakula? I don't know. That's something to think about. But also to bring into that discussion is that, yes, you can have property. But again, if you leave it to a relative or any person who is not formal or who has no legal implication or not legally established, it may still come back to you that you are likely to lose. You're likely to lose because the story still clearly shows that whereas there was a bigger portion was recovered, there is another portion where people had already bought and they had already constructed and they couldn't recover that portion of land. So chances are high still you can easily lose it out. Yes. And then the other thing that I would still discuss here is that, yes, court awarded this money, but is it readily available to be given in a short period of time? The answer is no. Yes, they may say you're paying even the interest, you are being compensated even the interest, but this money can even take 10 years.
Can you tell me that if you're going to find me fair or the issue, because that's the only recourse.
It can even take 10 years.
If court is not giving, other than saying, let them go and serve.
Exactly.
And serve the case, but it's hard to hear it. But you see, one thing that, given the digital world we live in,
yes,
people are able to access information on any format.
Yes.
If I wanted to get information about a certain land I want to buy, things like that, I'm going to go and do a land search. Most probably a land search will cost me 20,000 shillings. You can come out with a copy of the land title, the original owner, the signature, most probably even their ID and their detail.
Yes.
We keep everything sometimes all day.
Yes.
It's only any day. But that does not mean you could still not protect yourself against loss. Okay, even if it's not 900%, maybe for certain level that is covered.
the reason you need the risk managers to help you, because the risk manager, the advisor will tell you there is a problem here, I shouldn't go into this direction.
And a timely one.
Yes.
We won't wait for you to first lose that.
To recognize that there is something
that is actually,
yes,
that it's actually about happening.
That's very true.
Yeah. So, in my final submission, I was saying that how we protect these men and women in diaspora is to have a certain component of ring fencing, but not only the risk management. Within this risk management, we'll have a contractual relationship, with the person in diaspora, definitely with the lawyers to ensure that actually everything is right, and then on the other side, that even the person on the diaspora might have their own legal representation, with, say, we, the risk managers, and then they are free to go ahead, and ensure that they have any other legal documentation between themselves and their contractors and their relatives, whether commercial basis or not. So one of the components that be handling, is to ensure that these relatives or the contractors execute the components or the legal component or the commercial components that are written in that contract. In the event along the way you smell that it's actually not being executed, then quickly the clients are credit and this can be put to hold until everything is corrected to ensure that no more is running. Where it needs quick legal intervention, that can be done at that point, before even the loss goes, or even at the point of starting. Because you can pick out some of these red flags, even at the point of trying to drop some of these agreements, legal documentation, anything, just to ensure that all those gaps are covered. So as we keep on promoting and advising people in diaspora to ensure that risk management for the investment is very important, those are some of the key facts that they would be able to know. And some of them can be discussed later on in our various episodes, or at individual or personal level for those ones who need this advice, and we'll be happy to always advise and ensure that they don't lose out there.
Thank you, Sophia Bernard. I was actually reading through what the judge highlighted on this case of Lydia and Samakula. One of the things that was established that entrusting a relative is not enough. Yes, whereas you can have someone take care of, but you shouldn't give them full authority. Because it so happened that if David had full authority even to transfer this land from Lydia to Semakula, Lydia would have lost this case. So that is something that we are seeing here, is that, yes, trusting a relative is not enough. If someone just a caretaker, just define the boundaries. The second thing that the court thought of, that keep the original documents under control.
Yes.
Why would you give a caretaker even your original land title? And indeed it was in the story that the original land title had been kept with David Chintu. So here the court was questioning, ensure that your original documents are in safe custody.
Yes.
Otherwise, chances are high that you're likely to lose it out.
Yes.
Then, also, use powers of attorney carefully. At least have a written agreement with this, for example, the caretaker, and which authority, what is he or she supposed to do, and what he or she is not supposed to do. That one helps you. If both parties sign, it helps you when it comes to, in case there are these kind of cases. Yes. Then the other one, of course, which was also interesting, is that fraud can be reversed. That is, whereas there was a fraud and there was exchanges, when court establishes that indeed there was fraud, then and to me this is very good. But all in all, what we've seen here, I realize that there are many lessons that we need to learn from this, as some of our friends, relatives saw people in the diaspora that should also look out for is that, yes, you may have investments here and you want someone to take care of. Still, you may need to engage the services of well-established trustees. Yes. The other one is that if, assuming that these investments that you have, like you want to sell them off, sometimes it's not good to entrust to the person who is a mere caretaker. We have seen cases where someone says, I have my 10 acres of land. Please sell on my behalf because me can't come back to Uganda. That is also very dangerous because if you have given authority to this caretaker or the person in charge to sell on your behalf, this person will sell and retains the money. You gave the authority. So it is something that you have to think of. Yes, if I'm the caretaker, I receive the money and I don't remit to you. Sometimes it's tricky. Which case are you going to provide? You gave authority for this person, yes. Even if it's written as he can sell on my behalf. Then after selling, what happens? So these are lessons that our people in the diaspora can still learn from. And to me, I believe is that, yes, you can have your property or you can invest in Uganda and you'll be at peace if you engage in people who are trusted, who are legally established, than just trusting individuals who are just friends or relatives in one or the other. We know cases of fraud are many, as CPA Bernard hinted on, that yes, you may find these cases of fraud all over. Someone can take advantage, just getting maybe your names, can search about you and what you have and can use it for his or her advantage. However, once you have original documents, and this can easily be identified by the trusted trustees or advisors, because for them they can go that extra mile to advise you that please this, don't give it. So this one should be the one to have it, or we can have it for you because of this, because you have that formal contract with this trustee, which can't be just be breached. Yes, thank you.
Well, what I've seen mainly from these cases, mainly the first two cases, is that you must separate your personal relationship from the business relationship. That's enables the business to run well, the investment, whatever you're planning, to run well. Yeah, that's what I can say.
It was an honor, and I look forward to further discussion that the taking people. I'm sure we'll have more discussions on further topics and how West we can lead making.
Thank you, Belinda, for hosting me, and thank you, Bernard, for this healthy discussion about the diaspora group. It is a sign that indeed we feel people in the diaspora should get value for their money. It's not just a matter of sacrificing being in a foreign country only to come back and start again from zero. You should get value for their money. And therefore, these discussions really are worth it to give them something that they should think about, how best they can invest their money without any, or with limited risks in one or the other. But also to ensure that they invest their money. It's not about keeping the money. We know if you keep the money on just an account there, money loses value. So it's just to invest, give them these ideas on how, then maybe in the next discussion we can think of what is the way forward, what would be the best way forward, which investments can they think of in case, which are less risky, but also managed through the trustees and all that. So it's something that I'm looking forward to discuss about. Yes, we have identified, we have even cited these cases in one or the other, and we can't take it for granted. These cases are many. Some of them even don't reach the court ruling. Yeah. They stop at police cases, especially when it comes to relatives, friends. You may not say, okay, family now. when you take it is going to be bad. You can't imprison your family member and all that. So sometimes die at the initial stages. But the fact is, many people have lost resources and money which would have really benefited Uganda at large, but also even the relatives that even have been involved in these cases. So let's look at how can we help them in terms of these investments. What things can they invest in, which are less risky, and then how they come to trust the trustees. What things would be put in place? How do you tell that this is a genuine trustee? So that's something that I look forward to discuss in the next discussion regarding the diaspora and their investments. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all for joining us. Peace.